This will be the first video on this channel where I try to analyze characters, so it may be like messy, but I'm going to try my best. And if you have something you'd like to add, do that in the comments. And let's please stay respectful. Spoiler warning, I will be talking about scenes that were in the last act. Thank you for watching. The title of this video was originally going to be one of the reasons I really dislike Jax. But while writing the script, halfway through I realized this is an analysis of Gangle and Jax's relationship from start to finish. So with that, let's get into the video. In episode 1, we are introduced to the cast, their varying personalities, and some of their relationships. But episode 2 is where we can zoom in specifically on Jax and Gangle's dynamic.
Alright, Gangle, when we catch up to him, I'll jump over, crawl inside, and shoot him repeatedly until they're unrecognizable.
I feel like that violates some kind of convention.
You're violating my ears with your clapback. Get driving, driver! Hey, Ribbons! Up and at him!
I don't think we...
Aren't you supposed to be submissive and agreeable? Move it! Hey, Gangle, you should ram into him.
What?
You should not ram them. Tommy's still on board.
Do it, it'll be epic.
Why are there so many knives back here?
Do it, or I'll tell Ragatha about the figurine thing.
So from episode 2, we get the gist. Jax is mean to Gangle, and Gangle is meek. The end. But there's actually more. Because in episode 3, Gangle asks Jax which door they should choose in the mystery of Mildenhall Manor adventure.
Which door should we choose?
Not sure. Let's try this out.
From a writing point, yes, it's true that they needed Kangaroo and Pomni to be on their own for this adventure, but this is also a chance to look at the characterization of Gangle and how she acts Jax, someone who we've seen threaten, berate, and mock her. Why would she be asking her bully this question? Just a little side note, I actually took a screenshot of this post last month. That question brings me to a Digital Circus subreddit. That's right, we're taking this to Reddit. This Redditor asked, is there a lore reason why Gangle still interacts with Jax even though she knows the consequences of it? Some of the replies are jokes, but some are actually the user's opinion on why they actually interact. People do believe Gangle has a crush or some attraction or loves Jax, and some think that Jax was correct in the statement they made in episode 5. Maybe she just doesn't want to hang out with someone who's mean to her all the time. She likes when I'm mean to her though. But I'm going to say the reasons why I think these two beliefs are wrong based off of like the show. Some people mix up Gangle's lack of agency with her having a crush on Jax or being attracted to Jax. It's actually not impossible for the victim of abuse, bullying to interact with or hang out or even live with their bully and abuser. Well, this could go without saying. Sometimes it just needs to be said out loud. In episode 6, They All Get Guns, Gangle actually says,
Do you think Jax is gonna be mad that I didn't team up with him?
I wouldn't worry about him right now. It's all just a game in the end.
It's Jax, though. He probably wants revenge, and he's gonna make it painful.
Hey, you deserve better than thinking about him when he's not even here. You're a human. You're not his toy.
It sometimes doesn't feel that way.
what Gangle is describing is her lack of agency. What's agency, you may be asking? Well, James W. Moore wrote, sense of agency refers to the feeling of control over actions and their consequences. Which ties into the Reddit post. Is there a reason why Gangle still interacts with Jax even though she knows the consequences of it? While she may know the consequences will be negative, she felt at the time that there was nothing she could do about it. Gangle feels she does not have the control over the consequences of her not choosing to team up with Jax, which is why Gangle has become, as she said, Jax's toy. You could even say Gangle is my plaything. When you put it in the context of how Jax treats Gangle, their rant is actually true. Jax causes Gangle to suffer and laughs and smiles. It's very sinister because now we realize in the same episode, Gangle feeling like Jax's toy isn't accidental. That's something they are doing on purpose. Gangle's lack of agency is subsequent result of Jax's abuse and lack of interference until Zubul reaches out to Gangle. All this to say, it's not very romantic. Gangle doesn't seem to have a crush on Jax. This is not coming after Jangle's ship, Bruce, by the way. I'm talking about the story. I'm not talking about the ship. I'm saying in canon. This also makes it clear that Jax saying she likes what I mean to her is incorrect. And so now there is two parts I want to highlight in Ragtha, Pommy, and Jax's conversation. First, I'm going to talk about Jax's question and the mindset behind this question that is revealed in the last act.
Here.
Thanks.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
What?
I don't know, like her comedy mask still breaks every day. Does she think hanging out with Zubul is gonna magically fix that?
Jax is aggressive. In contrast, Gangle is easily one of the most timid characters in the circus. Jax and Gangle are opposite, but the amazing digital circus acknowledges opposites attracting is inherently good. One of the most disturbing things about Jax and Gangle's relationship is Jax genuinely believes they have the right to exert power over Gangle because Gangle is what they fear to become, vulnerable, being able to be looked down on, being powerless to change the situation you're in. And so, since Jax sees Gangle as a representative of everything they fear to become, what does that mean when Gangle pursues happiness? When your so-called plaything actually reclaims their autonomy? What does that say when Gangle separates herself from Jax? Seeing Gangle happily hang out with Zubul is like an attack on Jax's archetypes they've made for everyone.
I'm the funny one. Ragatha's the cheerful one. Gangle's the sad one. Kinger's the crazy one. Zubul's the grumpy one. And you are the one who hasn't figured that out.
Jax assigned these archetypes to the characters to keep themselves safe, to dehumanize everyone, to be able to keep them at an arm's length. Since Gangle isn't actually a caricature, she's a real person with strengths and weaknesses, then Jax says she likes it when I mean to her though. Statement is mere justification that also aids in the characterization of Jax. And from what I can collect, Jax sought out Gangle's attention and interaction in the first place as a way to have cake and eat it too. As shown in the last act, when Ribbit opens up about themselves, Jax does too, and that's vulnerability, which scares Jax to the point where they cut everyone off emotionally and do their best to never open up, connect with a person again. So then Gangle comes along and they lean more and more into socially interact, but having none of the honesty and emotional sincerity to back it up. So how do you have a relationship with someone without wanting it to be healthy? How do you sustain something like that? And the answer is you don't. You do not. Do not. The unsustainability of Jax and Gangle's relationship even becomes clear with the narrative and the characters themselves. Episode 1, 2, 3 establishes the relationship that has been going on for a while, the abuser and the victim. Episode 4 flips that on its head, not because Gangle becomes an abuser, but because due to Gangle's manic episode, she's experiencing euphoria and a technical lapse of judgment. And I say technical because Gangle only set up the punishment with Cain because Jax took their boredom out on Ragatha and put her in the deep fryer when everyone can still feel pain in the circus. That's why I say technical. It was technically karma too. But anyway, not only is Gangle breaking the sad person archetype she was assigned to 3 episodes ago, but she's also not Jax's victim for this adventure, which Jax doesn't like and even says,
I like you better when you're sad.
it's also easy to note that this is Gangle's adventure she suggested, and she's the manager of the fast food place, so she has some power over Jax and the others just as the manager, which we could just see that, of course, Jax wouldn't like that. Episode 5, it could be argued that the adventures where Gangle gets shot and bit by Jax, and President Pomni, where Gangle is the closest to the dynamite, seeing as they're strapped to her. This is Jax's way of getting back at her. Plus, if we keep in context how slighted Jax feels from episode 4, the spiteful comment they make in episode 5 makes more sense.
Remember when you got high at McDonald's and told Gangle to kill herself? Now that was funny.
Next, in episode 6, we already know what happens there. Jax tries to make Gangle team up with them on the adventure, but Zooble helps Gangle stand on what she said, and she does not team up with Jax. Then in episode 7, the beach episode, we see from there that Gangle has severed her connection with Jax. Jax and Zooble are hanging out, and I would say that Jax's isolation is actually related to Gangle moving on from them, because now who's going to pit up with their crap? No one. Absolutely no one. So I do think that was a part of why Jax isolated themselves and felt they really had nothing to hold on to anymore. Then, while the cast is walking to the main room in Kane's office, Zooble says to Gangle,
Are we still gonna be friends when we're out there?
Why wouldn't we be?
It's just gonna be strange. I've only known you like this. Will it be the same when it's real?
It always was real. Everything we felt, everything we've done, everything we are. It'll never leave us. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you for always being there when I needed.
and it's just extremely interesting that when the camera goes to Jax, you could see just how uncomfortable they are and experiencing some sort of mental turmoil after Zooble and Gangle's exchange. So Gangle was more worried about, will her and Zooble still be friends? Would everything be the same since real life and the circus are two different things? And Jax is more worried about, I'm homeless. I still think I possibly killed my mom. I'm going to lose all the control I had in the circus if I go into the real world where I'm powerless. When Jax hits the red button, everyone, including Gangle, is shocked, thinking this bunny just ruined the chances of them leaving. After they find out it's all an adventure, Jax says themselves that they can't believe they were right. So when they hit the button, they genuinely thought I trapped everyone along with me in the circus. And instead of taking accountability for that, Jax pushes all the attention to Kane the AI, just like Jax would rather justify bullying Gangle. Just like Jax implied, Gangle was attempting to use Zooble as a way to instantly get happier without any working on herself or trying to improve her life. Jax would rather push the button and get mad at Kane. Then the next episode, episode 8, Jax basically deflects all of Zooble's criticism by saying, well, it was just an adventure, so my actions no longer matter. And surprisingly, Gangle agrees.
It wasn't real, so it doesn't matter. Never did.
How can you say that like you didn't try to f us all over?
He's right, though.
What? Gangle?
It doesn't matter what could have happened. We could argue about it and hurt each other all day long, but that's not gonna help anybody. I think what we need to do now is to just be there for each other.
This is an extremely emotionally mature thing for Gangle to say, especially when we consider just how long she's had to endure abuse from the person sitting across from her on a couch. So Gangle just having to accept that since we're never gonna get out of here, we might as well support each other the times when we're at our lowest. Takes a certain type of person to actually do that. The kind of person who will be there for the person at their lowest and their saddest because you can empathize with it. You've been there and you don't want to see this person have to go through the same thing alone. Way back in episode 4, it was revealed that Gangle was an artist and wanted to publish her own comic. Working at a fast food restaurant was certainly not her dream, but her reality. So even though she won't be outside of the circus, she'll at least have people she cares about inside of the circus. Now, onto the last act. It is revealed that Jax actually named Gangle as an insult, of course. How about we call her Gangle? That sounds about as pathetic as she looks. Great choice, Gangle. I'll be sure to add that right into the system. It's not far-fetched to say that Jax naming Gangle really did boost their ego into thinking that they had a right to Gangle, bringing us to the psychological horror that is Jax flirting with Gangle.
Sup?
Jax, why are you wearing that?
Wearing what? Oh, this! I figured what better way to honor Zubal's spirit than by wearing something all gender freaky, right?
You're just doing it to make fun of them.
Isn't that what you're doing?
I hate you.
What? Don't act like you don't like it, sweet cheek. Meet me in my room after the funeral. Don't be late.
Ew!
Back to the delusion. In this scenario, Zubal has abstracted. I interpret as how Jax sees reality or how Jax wants reality to be. And this tells me that Jax basically fetishizes the powerlessness Gangle has and would like Gangle to have some attraction or some eros towards them, especially since that would make Jax feel better about treating Gangle like crap, but also because, well, it's not romantic, it's certainly perverse, which perversion can also be a substitute for an honest connection to something or someone. Additionally, Gangle is wearing the normal mask, which was given to her by Zubal because it doesn't break as easily as the other mask, and while it's not confirmed the normal mask causes manic episodes, it's associated with Gangle being manic. Jax wearing a maid outfit and saying that's gender freaky, also calling Zubal basically that they're gender freaky and that Gangle would like that, shows just how badly Jax wanted to regain the attention Zubal was getting from Gangle, just somewhere in the back of their mind. Because even in a world where Gangle plans a funeral, Jax needs to be the center of her world. And once again, a world where Gangle's thoughts and emotions are dismissed. So then we get to Gangle's reaction to the abstraction of Jax.
I'm sorry.
For what? Hey. This isn't your fault.
Why can't I cry for him?
Gangle could have been apologizing for not being able to cry for Jax, or apologizing for the fact that she feels like she's a part of the reason why Jax abstracted. But it's obvious that it's not even Gangle's fault, but she still feels the sense of guilt over someone else's abstraction, which is an allegory for multiple things. It's actually sad that she feels that she still owes the person who tormented her some emotional response, even from beyond the proverbial grave. As shown in episode 1 with Kaufmo's funeral, when someone abstracts, it seems that the circus typically creates a funeral service where they talk about their memories with the person that abstracted. And Gangle is there and can see the tears in her eyes. So it is possible that Gangle feels not crying but about an abstraction to someone that she knew is wrong. This could have been a good opportunity for the writers to show when an abuser passes away, their victims aren't always going to grieve in the way that other people grieve or even grieve at all or cry for them. Now, notice I said that this could have been a good way to show that, but they do show Gangle crying, and this is very interpretive, like, oh, is Gangle crying over Jax, or is Gangle crying because an abstraction is being cared for? They'll have Zubul just kind of do the turns to camera and says,
Having a lot of complex thoughts.
so, okay. Well, yeah, I guess the writers decided this is Gangle's catharsis. Near the end of the last act, Gangle is shown to help paint the murals of the people who abstracted in the circus, and she even shows Kane her manga she's working on. In general, Gangle is so much happier and is actually doing the things that she wanted to do outside of the circus, and the best place to go after this is the conclusion. Until someone stepped in, Gangle truly was on the fast track to abstracting. She was made the butt of the joke. She was the punching bag, the plaything for a self-pitying individual who couldn't put in the effort to accept help and improve their life in an environment where the abuse isn't hidden. It's right in a group of about 7 people's faces, and they don't really do much. Their efforts just didn't seem genuine. But finally, you connect with someone in the circus, and you're able to see beyond your tormentor. You're able to escape from that toxic person. Then something seen as tragic happened. This abuser basically dies. And while everyone else is showing sympathy and able to be sad for that person, you aren't, making you question whether you're a good person. But how does it make you a bad person for not being able to cry for someone who actually wanted you to feel miserable and not feel like you had a chance of being happy? Relationship of Gangle and Jax is everything a relationship shouldn't be. It shouldn't be built off of a superiority complex. It shouldn't be built off of fear of the consequences that will be inflicted upon you if you say no to this person. I mean, you still have to live with the fact that this person did leave a mark on your life, but you still aren't indebted to them for the harm they caused you. It's not friendship. It's not love. It's not good.